Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. This is Afefe with Touch by Tarot. I am going to do a reading for us today for the collective, a general reading on the upcoming total lunar, full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, expected on November 8th. I'm recording this on October 31st. And keeping in mind that this full moon is conjunct with Uranus, planet of change, transformation, right? Sometimes very abrupt, unexpected. This full moon is occurring while we are still in the sign of Scorpio, right? So what does Scorpio do? Often reveal secrets, often drill down and get to the deeper truths of things, okay? Keeping in mind too, that here in America, this is happening on November 8th. And what is November 8th? It is those midterms that, the elections that we have been talking about for the greater part of this year. So there's a lot, I think I'm certainly feeling like a great sense of anticipation and just wondering, how is this all going to shake out? Because there are so many elements in the universe that are indicating to us. There's some things that perhaps we have been able to predict and see and get a sense in our intuition of how things are going to happen and what we can expect. But then there's definitely that matter of, expect the unexpected. All right. So going to take a look at that. I want to ask Spirit, my intention going to Spirit for us is, what are we meant to learn from this? Because at the end of the day, you all, whatever happens personally in our lives, individually from these energies that are coming to us, whether it is governmental issues and changes and political things that are going on around us globally, not just here in America, a lot of changes around the globe, Europe and elsewhere. What are we meant to learn from it? And the extent to which, yes, here in America, everyone's talking, vote, let your voice be heard now more than ever. It is crucial that we vote and not pay attention to propaganda, not pay attention and be led by, these knee-jerk reactions, keeping in mind too, from an astrological perspective, yesterday, the 30th of October, Mars just went retrograde in Gemini. What that means for many of you into astrology, you already know, but in case you're not, basically what that means is Mars, a planet of aggression, a planet of get up and go, leap first and look later, like get things done. Well, Mars is coming retrograde in Gemini, meaning communication, right? Gemini ruling communication, our intellect, our thought processes, our voices, the way our voices are heard. So thinking too about going to the polls, for instance, and the people's voice being heard through elections. So the ways in which we may be forced, we may feel like we're at a standstill because Mars, instead of going forward and getting things done, is in retrograde or standing still, feeling stuck. So there could be a lot of frustration around being heard or having to reevaluate what it is that you want to say and how things are coming across, having to maybe take a moment, take a beat and not be so reactionary. And that, my friends, is something that, as we know, things can happen here after, January 6th, etc. There can be a lot of reactionary components. So I'm not into fear mongering. Don't do that. But I am into being, looking at things from a larger perspective, because I do believe that things don't happen to us in terms of just, constantly keeping us on edge and feeding the anxiety and this sense of uncertainty, but that things are happening ultimately, in hindsight, what we are meant to learn from it. If we can have a handle on, okay, I'm going through this, or we are going through this collectively, because ultimately here's where we're going. Here's the direction it's pointing us in. I think that can be helpful for all of us. All right. So having said that, let's go in. I'm feeling a Celtic cross for this, you all. I'm using very deliberately, I am using the Light Seers deck. All right. And I've got some others here as well. For those of you who know me, I do use combinations of decks just because in doing that, I get more of a narrative and more of a sense of various viewpoints from Spirit on the topic. So let's see. Spirit, please show us, what are we meant to learn from this total lunar eclipse in Taurus conjunct Uranus? So definitely some changes underway during Scorpio season. So definitely there will be things revealed that perhaps we didn't see coming, secrets, things that have been withheld from us that now we're going to see and therefore have to deal with. And Mars in retrograde in Gemini. So, our thought processes, what we're saying to one another, how we're formulating our ideas, and so that we can express them. What are we meant to learn from all of this? All right, I'm going to tell you what I got, and then I will cross with other decks. Main energy, you all, Ten of Cups came reversed. Now, and it is crossed by, I'll go ahead and show you this, it's crossed by the Six of Pentacles. That came upright. We're meant to learn, number one, what makes us happy. Different readers read reversals, in various ways. One of my techniques is I look at this as an internal process versus what may be happening around us in our external world. So the fact that this Ten of Cups came reversed, you all, I think one of the main lessons that we're going to learn during this time is what genuinely matters to us and makes us happy inside. Because our outer world is very often, we know this, it's a reflection of what's happening within us. We create and we manifest very often based on the thoughts that we keep thinking, our repetitive behaviors, our habits, what we have been conditioned to do. So 10 of Cups, what really, really makes us happy? And Six of Pentacles, that wonderful card about give and take, about receiving, one hand, and the other hand giving and receiving. Is there a balance? Is there an emotional balance in our ability to give and receive, or our willingness to give and receive? And is there, talking about, this lunar eclipse in Taurus being a very earthy, it is an earth sign, a earthy energy, and ruled by Venus. So it is about what we value, what matters to us, the material things in our lives and our possessions, and how we treat what we possess. And that even includes our relationships, not that we possess others, but that we see ourselves in connection with others in our lives. So how are we treating and valuing? How do we value those relationships? I think that may be too why we came in cups, because in the Ten of Cups, there is almost always that aspect of the joy that we give and bring in a larger whole, in a family unit, in a household, in a job, in a business, in our spiritual communities, right? Our friendship circles, etc., etc. It's how does it start here and emanate outward, and how are we playing, what role are we playing in that give and take, that exchange? Now, the root of it is the Ten of Pentacles upright. Ties right into what we were saying, because this is very much about what we value, what we've accumulated, what we are willing to do to hold on to it, keeping in mind that this could also have to do with our beliefs and taking a stance. Remember, we talked about our voices being heard. So taking a stance for what we believe in, what we have worked hard to become in our own, personalities, our own lives that we are forging in this world, the imprint and the blueprint that we are creating in this world, in this lifetime, what that means to us, the value that we place on it, and do we feel stable? There could be a question being raised about our ability to hold on to that, to feel firm in that, to feel secure, and know that the people that we love and what we have accumulated. I'm thinking too about financial markets, about 401k plans, about savings, about budgeting, those things, our property, our possessions, those things that give us a sense of security in the world. And that give and take that we saw what really matters. We're going to have to evaluate that. We have the Nine of Wands reversed in the recent past. Now, again, my take is I immediately think about internal aspects of the energy that a card brings when it comes reversed. So internally, I think a lot of people are really tired, you all. A lot of you are feeling like you're doing everything that you can. Nine of Wands is a card of having persevered, having done the work, having rolled up your sleeves, having stuck with it, definitely not wimping out in any aspect of your life, but being tired. I think internally there could be a recognition that you're feeling or going to feel during this lunar eclipse in Taurus, where it's okay to admit and own up to the fact that you may be a little tired by all of what's going on around you. You may be tired of feeling like you've got to constantly produce or preserve or protect, what you've done. Inflation is a real thing. And this makes me think about, again, in regards to what we own and what we possess and what we've been able to build and accumulate and know we can rely on, relationships and physical material possessions. There's been this just such work that you've had to do. And I think it's okay to own up to being tired during this time. It's okay to do that. Knight of Pentacles overhead. Well, sort of the energy in the clouds up above us around this. The Knight of Pentacles. Pentacles again, you guys. Pentacles everywhere. This lunar eclipse in Taurus, Earth sign, is definitely teaching us something about how we are moving. Knights are always movement, and it came up right. So how we are moving to continue to build those structures, those things that are going to keep us stable. But keeping in mind that with it coming conjunct Uranus, there could be some instability on the horizon or continued instability. Again, using the example of the financial markets and the economy fluctuating, housing markets fluctuating. So there could be very well, what we are meant to learn is to value to reevaluate perhaps those things that really mean something to us. And how do you place a dollar figure on it? Or maybe you can't. Maybe we realize that certain things are quote unquote priceless in our relationships to one another, for example. So that type of thing. But 100%, Spirit is teaching us the lesson that we're meant to learn through this time right now, you all, is in relation to what we have, our attitude toward what we have, what we are willing to do, give and take in order to build it or preserve it or to bring more in the near future. Get ready. You saw me pull these cards. There's the moon, right? Near future. I'm recording this on October 30th. We're talking about this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus on November 8th. So this Spirit is just confirming here. This is about what will be revealed. Remember, the moon very often illuminates. It comes in the dark of night, but it shines a light on things that are in the dark. So be prepared for something to come to light. I am going to cross that after I finish. I'm going to go back and look at that a little bit closer for us. But we know that Spirit is speaking here and we are on track. There is something in the near future around the time of this eclipse for sure, 100%, that's going to be revealed to us around our possessions, around the things that we hold dear and value, including our voices being heard. What is looking, the way that we are looking as a collective right now is the Queen of Cups, but she did come reversed. Again, I think this is saying what we're meant to learn is to take care of ourselves first, to nurture ourselves so that we can nurture others, to remember that even while we are paying attention to what's on our radar, while we are, being alert and exercising our rights and being present and focused, that also it means that self-care, that aspect of coming back to what we love. Keeping in mind, I'm being drawn back. The very first card in this spread, you all, is that 10 of Cups. So the idea of being driven by what nurtures you, what bolsters you, what gives you comfort, what allows you to go with the flow in that watery energy, remembering too, all of this is occurring while the sun is still in Scorpio. All right, water sign. So there is that notion of how we are able to take care of ourselves or take better care of ourselves so that we can then take care of others while we're going through all of this. And keeping in mind that earth and water work hand in hand, okay? What we are able to accumulate and how we handle our resources materially is very much tied to how we feel about it, how it is able to sustain us in a very nurturing and loving and giving way. All right, we're not holding tight, we're opening up to it. 5 of Cups around us. There is a lot of struggle, you all. This, I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. I think this is also pointing to a lot of mental unrest and a lot of instability that is tied to disappointment. It's tied to pain. It's tied to unresolved pain. It's tied to shadow work, meaning those parts of ourselves that just by virtue of being human on this planet, you know, we go through certain things, whether it stems back to childhood, whether it started in childhood and then we dealt with difficult situations as adults, which all of us do at some point in our lives. It's part of our human lesson, but it lingers. You know, for some of us, we're able to get through it and resolve it and move on. There's sort of that natural optimism. But when you're in that 5 of Cups energy, and you know, it's about how do I stop looking at what happened and replaying that so much? Because in a 5 of Cups, there's 3 that are down, spilled milk, nothing you can do about it, but there's 2 that remain. And so, but you know, you're talking about 3 in one direction, 2 in the other. So what Spirit says is what you're meant to learn is stop looking at, you know, focusing all that attention on the 3 that you can't go back and do anything about. It happened, right? Honor that. You know, there's no denying that, but get to a point where you can look at those 2 cups still to be filled. Look at the potential for the future. And that's what we're meant to learn from this is, yes, is it going to be a difficult time? Is it going to be a time where perhaps things are shaken up in a way that really rattle us? Yes. I'm not going to fake that. But there's also some optimism being offered here, and Spirit saying, be sure that by taking care of ourselves, you know, maybe we can't fix the world. You know, maybe we can't snap our fingers or click our heels and get world peace in this moment, but we can certainly take those deep breaths, take that time to meditate, you know, radiate peace within our inner being, radiate that love, radiate those 2 cups that are still left. This has happened, but I got a lot of road left ahead of me. That kind of feeling, all right? Now, hopes and fears, get ready. We got the sun, you all. And the sun did come reversed. But I'm holding to, you know, my take on it for this purposes of this reading, and that is within. So again, Queen of Cups came reversed, within. This is a very important time for you all to think about your life overall, not just where it's been, but where you want it to go. Despite, you know, and perhaps with the assistance and aid of some of these changes that may on their face seem very troubling, but ultimately wind up working in your favor. That's how this feels. Things are going to work ultimately in your favor, but you are in the driver's seat, because again, remember, both of these came reversed. So this is an internal process. Lunar eclipse. Right? When we get a solar eclipse, it's very often what's happening around us. Lunar eclipse, yes, it could be the inner changes that we undergo in response to things that happen around us. But there is still a lot of feminine lunar energy around that. It is about how you feel about life, joy, being playful, more than ever, it is time for all of the serious things that you may have to deal with, that we all do. It's really important that you find time to gather with those you love. We had two tens here, that 10 of Pentacles and that 10 of Cups, right? Gather with those you love. Gather with those who bring you joy, who when you are with them, there is this sense of being in a collective. If you don't have a large family, perhaps you have a friend group, perhaps you can search Meetup, or other communities where you can build more of a community. And it doesn't have to be a ton of people. It could be, 3 or 4 people who you gather with and just have a meal, have a laugh, play some cards, something to that effect, but getting you in that sun energy. And finally, we have the 8 of Cups reversed. That's our outcome card. The lesson that we're learning, you all, on a very visceral level is to walk away from the things that no longer serve us, including the agitation that we may feel or the anxiety that we may be constantly being fed around keeping us in a state of red alert all the time. Red alert, what's going to happen next? Taking it easy on the news cycles. Yes, we need to be informed, but there needs to be a balance in that give and take, that 6 of Pentacles as well that we got. If you have found yourself really, really preoccupied with the news and with those kinds of things that on the one hand, yes, it keeps you informed, it keeps you feeling like you're being proactive and you know what's coming. But on the other hand, what you're hearing isn't good. The news could be so agitating that begins to really settle in your vibration. And Spirit is saying, there's some emotional intelligence that you are learning from this. We went into this reading. What are we meant to learn? You're learning emotional intelligence. You're learning how to take charge of how much time you spend, what you are willing to give, and when you are ready to put the brakes on. Thinking, going back to that 9 of Wands. All right. I want to look a little more at that Moon card that we got in the future. We have the Path. One more card, please, Spirit. The Path, the Moon. Assess the situation. Okay, I got it. So what they're saying here, you all remember I told you I was going to go back and look at it a little more. In the future position, we got that Moon, right? We're coming up on November 8th, that lunar eclipse in Taurus, all right, full moon. So here we have the Path and we have assess the situation. So that goes with a lot of what we were talking about, which is the lesson we are meant to learn is to evaluate what holds value in our lives so that we can determine our path forward. That's also why I think a lot of these cards came reversed, you all, because it is definitely, the universe and your guides are definitely saying this, while so much of what is going to affect you is happening around you. It's not like you got up one day and just decided to upset the apple cart. It's not that, but that you are going to be able to recognize, hey, I've got to take charge here. I've got to forge my path ahead. And in order to do that, I can't be so reactionary to what's, to everything that's going on around me. I need a minute to assess it. That's actually really beautiful and really empowering, but it is very tremendously feminine energy going on here, you all, male or female, non-binary, however you identify. But this energy is definitely, it is protective, it is creative, it is mothering, but it is over what protects the whole. It's not selfish at all, you all. It's not selfish at all. This is not about, even though the focus is on you, it's not about me. It's about how do I go forward? How do I take care of those I love? How do I continue to participate in society and in my family and in my job and in my career and in my, my path, my soul, fulfilling my purpose, me, but me in with a larger view, me, because this is what I can do for others by being the best that I can be. Definitely having to filter. Gemini, thank you. Gemini just came. Remember, we just said Mars went retrograde in Gemini, so we have another confirmation, you all. This is about our voices being heard, perhaps feeling that we are being pulled back with Mars being retrograde in Gemini for now. Actually, I think for quite a while, till early next year, maybe next spring. I'm sorry, I didn't look up that date, but I want to say it's like maybe until March of 2023. So we're going to be in this energy for a while, Mars retrograde in Gemini. Thinking about how to be heard, thinking about how you say things and how you put things out into the world. Taurus. I couldn't ask for many more confirmations, you all, that Spirit is here with us in this reading. We have gotten, numerous confirmations. So, Taurus. The message that we are, or the lesson that we are meant to learn from whatever it is that's coming our way, because remember, there are things that have not been revealed yet. The elections here in America, the midterms, are coming on the date of this lunar eclipse. Who knows, right? But in terms of our preparation and what we are meant to learn, and that was my intention for you all in this reading, is on an individual level, think about your place in your larger whole, in your family group, in your friendship groups, in our spiritual community. I say our here because we are connecting on YouTube in this space, in this platform. How you are giving and taking, what role that you are playing so that you can plan your path ahead, and taking the time to assess. No matter what happens, no matter whether it's shocking, whether it does just naturally anger us or frustrate us, or we're in a state of disbelief, however, or even relief, perhaps, things go better than we thought. However these changes occur, take time to assess. Take time to see how they fit within the larger context. Okay, this is happening now at the end of 2022. What does that mean, going into 2023? What does that mean for me and how I'm envisioning my life, my family, the role that I want to play, how I am being nurtured and growing myself and taking care of myself, how I am finding joy no matter what is going on in the world, how I am finding joy and living that. That is the message for you all, right? That is the lesson that you're meant to learn, is that you are empowered. Nothing can take away your power. You can give it away, but nothing can take it away. And Spirit doesn't want you to give it away. Spirit is saying with Taurus, hold steady, hold strong, be firm in who you are, but also keeping in mind the role that you play, the emotional intelligence that you are gaining through some of these difficult situations, through some of the disappointments that you've gone through or perhaps may go through during this time, that it is building you towards something greater. Gemini having to do with the flexibility of your thinking, broadening your thinking, and taking the time while Mars is in retrograde. No, maybe your creative projects aren't just blossoming. Maybe the clients aren't just, lining up to come through the door just yet. But that is because you are being given a chance to assess all of these changes going on around you so that you can forge your path forward. All right, you all? Beautiful reading. Definitely Spirit came through. Let me know what you think. And definitely I'm wishing you all the best during this time. Talk to you soon.